Another day is dawning. There ain't no pain can ever make me stay. Yeah, you know it's true. There ain't no rain can wash it all away. It's been haunted into stone. There ain't no place can ever make me feel that the space that you left can heal. There ain't no way that I can let you know that you lost me long ago.
What's up, everybody? It's Tuesday night, and as you can see, I'm by myself. I ain't gonna be by myself long. I got my good friend Kyle from K&R Destination going to come up in a minute. But tonight, we're going to have just the ultimate get to know Kyle and what he's been through and life. And this is probably going to be one of the most serious, and you just never know. It may turn out to be one of the most funniest, but one of the most serious shows I've ever had. So me and the gang decided it would be better if it was just one-on-one. So tonight it's going to be one-on-one with me and Kyle. So I would strongly suggest, I've heard part of this story. I've camped some with Kyle and Ryan, and I've heard some of this story. I don't know that I've heard it all, but I would suggest if you have not got your tissue box, like a brand new box you've never opened, I'd get it right now. And get all that ready. And pray for our man Kyle, because he's throwing a lot out there. Some of you guys may have heard the story. Some of you guys may not. But, it's not easy to put stuff like this out for the world to hear and to see. And Kyle's been real open about that. And we talked about doing this interview when we camped together. And I had flat forgot about it, about us going to do it. And with moving and all that, I've been so stressed out. But anyway, I was sort of going to kill a little time here and let everybody get in here. But just let everybody know I should be on in the morning. Me and the crew should be on in the morning. And to my knowledge, we should be on the rest of this week unless something comes up. So we should be doing a live the rest of this week. And a lot of things happening behind the scenes with me and Tammy. Hope to get to announce some of that very soon. Exciting things that if things fall into place, we're going to be able to announce. They may not. We're just waiting on God to open up doors and to go through the doors he does open. But a lot of doors have opened already, and a lot of paths have opened in this direction. So there's some big hurdles done been crossed. So anyway, I hope to make that announcement soon. It's going to be life-changing for me and Tammy. So y'all be praying for us that we make the right decisions. So we got 17 in the house. It's 8:34. I do not know how long this show is going to last. It will not be longer than a normal show, but it may be shorter than a normal show. I don't know. We're going to wing it. So I do have Jerry and Nettie and Felix in the chat, I'm pretty sure. So even though they're not on this screen, they're in the chat. So if y'all need anything, y'all can talk to them in the chat, or if anything looks out of place, they will take care of it. So I appreciate all y'all being here. We got 19. Let's bring Kyle up and check out these new specs he's got on. What about it? Wow, man.
What about it, Gary?
So what do you think about the Mickey Mouse hat and the new shades? I mean, that's kicking right there now.
I'm telling you, man, I got to represent the Mickey Mouse hat because that's our youngest's favorite character. But, man, I'm telling you, you need to go get yourself a pair of these, man.
So I'm not in the same income category as Kyle, so you'll never see me wearing those specs. We talked about that behind stage in the green room a while ago. Y'all will not have to worry about me wearing that brand of specs. Let me just say that up front. And so Them had your name wrote all over them, son. They look good.
So before we get started, I need to tell you something, and I'm going to bring something to your attention that you will not ever be able to unsee now.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so in your intro, there's the picture of the four of you standing next to each other, which looks like a skyline behind you. If you look at Gary or Jerry's head, it actually looks like he has a man bun. With the way the clouds are and the way the shadow is, it really looks like he's got long hair and a man bun.
We will have to check that. Wait a minute. We got to play that again. Hang on. We're going to play that again. So now that you said that, everybody can watch. All right, here we go. We're going to play it again, guys. Y'all look for the Jerry Holly man bun. Okay, you're talking about right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right there. It looks like he got a man bun. You will not ever be able to unsee that now.
So did everybody get to see it? If not, I'll do it one more time. Did everybody get to see Jerry Holly's man bun? Only Kyle would see that. That is hilarious. I don't know where Jerry Holly is. He was in here a while ago.
He just popped in. He said, "It's the top of the building."
Oh man, my chat is so behind. Y'all are seeing chat that I'm not seeing. I've never seen Jerry come in.
Oh, he was first, and then kind of first, and then he wasn't so first, and then and he's on his phone, so he can't tag people.
Oh man,
yeah, Jerry Holly, the hipster, NOTB.
So we got 24 in here now. People starting to roll in here, starting to get in here. You got your coffee ready, Kyle?
I'm on water right now, bro.
Let me just throw this out here. This may be an image y'all never get burned out of your mind. But anyway, so when I go to my hemochromatosis doctor, which is, about every month, they have to suck blood out of me. So the more hydrated you are, the easier it is. So they make me, I'm not a big breakfast eater, but I have to eat breakfast on the morning I go, and I have to drink water all the way down there. It's 2 hours from here to Bessemer. All I drank from the time I left till I got there was a bottle of water, because I drink water all the time. If I'm not drinking coffee, I'm drinking water. All my meals, well, except if we go out to eat, I might drink sweet tea or something. But anyway, I drank that one bottle of water. I had to stop twice on the way to Bessemer to go to little boy's room. Then when I get there, I'm sitting in the waiting room, and I bet I went 4 times. I bet this old man thought something was up.
You had bladder issues.
Yeah, he was sitting by the door to the bathroom, and I mean, like, I went at least 4 times before they called me back. But anyway,
well, you had to change that color from brown to white.
Brown
all that coffee you drinking?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. So, where do we begin, Kyle?
Wherever you want to start, man. It's been one of those deals where, before the actual incident, I was always afraid of saying anything or suggesting anything about the dark part of my life, because, you live in that world where you want people to like you. You know what I'm saying? So you hide a big chunk of your existence away from people, and after the incident, it just changes everything, and then that becomes your testimony. Is if you don't go through those things or experience those things, then you can't appreciate what comes forward after that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. For a lot of the people in chat don't know, when I kid around about I'm not the same person I used to be, But when Kyle says he's not the same person he used to be, that is the difference in black and white. I've heard some of his stories. So what he's fixing to talk about is pre the Kyle we know. The big old bear, always laughing, loving. And I think you've probably always been that way, but you had maybe a little darker side as well, right? Is that the way
Yeah, I mean, you go through, you want so badly to be that other person, but I mean, even you know that you get sucked back into the old self or the old ways, and because they're familiar to you, and you find comfort in that that part of your life. And so even though you're trying to portray or pose this one side, the reality is that you're still lost in this other dementia, or not dementia, but dimension.
right.
But
So
yeah, it's
the dark side, you talk. I get from you. You're calling it basically the darker side of the thing when things were bad. What were you into? Like, I guess let's go back to that side. Let's go back to pre-Ryan. A lot of people don't know Kyle and Ryan been married how many years?
2 years, only
Yeah.
2 years.
A lot of people think for y'all's chemistry, y'all been married for a lifetime.
It feels that way, man.
Married, right? But let's go back to maybe a few years pre-Ryan and work our way up.
Well,
So who would I have met? Who would I have met 5 years ago if I'd have met Kyle?
5 years ago would have been ex-wife number 3. I've actually been married. I've been married 3 times prior to Ryan. I was married to my baby's mama for 12 years, and then we split up. I met a new girl. She asked me to marry her. We got married. She left me 3 months later for someone else, and then I ended up marrying again for what you want to think is the right reasons, but looking back on it, it was probably just to pretty much get back at wife number 2 for leaving me. And you know, that just is toxic from the get-go. As much as you want to think that it might eventually get better, it never did. And being a person that is self-centered and just I mean, that was the biggest thing is being just, it was all about me. So my theory in life was, if you don't like it, there's the door, because I'll find another one just like you.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the way I lived a big portion of my life, not to mention being angry. I had a short fuse, anger all the time. I was a manic depressant. I was bipolar. And the most recent one is borderline personality disorder. So you take all of that, and that's just a powder keg for disaster in the long run. And you add ADHD on top of that.
Yeah. Well,
So
and
now,
too, you were running with a pretty rough bunch as well, right?
yeah, I found comfort in a group of friends, or at the time were friends, that would allow me to do would be frowned upon these days. I don't know how else to, without being very graphic, but I found comfort in violence and hatred and drug running and just anything that I could think of that could make me either quick money or allowed me to express the violent side of what I enjoyed to do. Man, I for some reason I enjoyed hurting people in a lot of ways, and it didn't matter if it was physically or mentally or emotionally, or I had about zero conscience for how you felt about it or how anybody felt about it. So it would make it tough for anybody to love or want to be around somebody, and you make that like an excuse this is why I can't stay with nobody, because no one can deal with me. Or if you don't like dealing with me, I just didn't care. I had very little conscience, and even when my kids were coming along, they became my world and everything, that I stood for. But even then, I had trouble maintaining that, or containing that violent side and that hatred side and that dark side. And there was times when I didn't even care if my kids quit talking to me, if anybody quit talking to me. I would find a different path, and I was okay with it.
So I know the rest of the story, so it's hard for me not to get ahead. But when you were running with these people, is it because they included you and you felt part of something? Is that what drawed you to that?
It was probably a big part of that, but in all truth and honesty, I enjoyed it. I think that's what what scared me the most, is that, my parents were like good people. I mean, they were incredible people, and my family were, I didn't come from, a bad family or an abusive family or anything like that. I found some people that I hung out with, and I enjoyed doing that. And that's the most scary, the most frightening part for me when I look back on it, is that not only did I hang out with these people, but I found a pleasure in it. I enjoyed going out and doing the things that I did. And I looked forward to doing that every time that I left the house and going to find something new or doing something different or whatever that case may be. It was just, that's what I love to do. And
Wow.
that's what scared me the most, is that I didn't fear,
Now looking back, that's what
now looking back on it, it scares me to think that, and I didn't even care. Like, every day I looked forward to doing what I was doing. And if I didn't make it out that day, then so be it. That's just what happens. I mean, I didn't fear death. I didn't fear anybody or anything that was going to happen to me. And I mean, there was moments that, well, I'll give you one incident where, I was hanging out with some friends and we were involved with a drive-by. And after all that was said and done, I found one of my friends that was less than 2 feet from me. He had been shot and half of his head was all over me. So we ended up finding out who did that, and I won't get into details of what happened to it, but that became a mission for us to revenge what happened to him. And what I did to make up for that, it makes me cringe these days. And you can even ask Ryan. There's been nights I've woke up in tears and just hating myself, thinking about what I had the ability to do without conscience behind it.
Man, looking back now, don't you see how unreal that was? I know the teddy bear you are now, and the fact that, for me to think that how unreal for a human being to feel like that. How do you feel? I know you talk like it, you don't feel good thinking about it, but how do you even wrap your mind around that? Like it was a natural feeling for you.
Yeah, and that's Ryan and I have talked many times, and it's, I don't know how or where all of that would come from. There's been times when, we just say, when they make those comments like the devil's inside you, that's how I wrap my head around it. Like, I chose this dark path and just let as much evil as I could just rip through me, because that's what made me comfortable, and that's what I found a passion for. And I didn't, I mean, at that, at that point, you just don't care. And if that's the way that it ends up, then that's just what happens. And, we all, even after all that incident, we sit there and I look back on it thinking the retaliation of the people that we retaliated on, I mean, it could have just escalated. It could have gone further and been worse. And, there's been so many different situations that I've looked back on now, and I'm just like, how am I even here today?
So, what got you? When did the wheels start to turn the other direction, like from this guy that had no fear? What caused you to start shifting to the guy that we know today? Like, what made it click? Who did you meet? Did you just have an encounter with the Lord, or like, where did this change? And what
basically after wife number 3, I had pretty much decided that there really wasn't any more purpose for me. I mean, in my mind, I had told myself that basically that all I've been doing is just hurting people, whether it's, my family, or whether it's friends or whatever else. And it, it was a point where I just I didn't want to put anybody back through anything anymore, because I couldn't see myself being good for anybody, whether it's my kids or my family or any friends I had, and just anything. I didn't want to do it anymore. So from there, the bipolar and the manic depression started just kind of consuming things. And one day, April 12th, 2016 was the actual date that I actually just picked up a load of steel from Springfield, Missouri. And I mean, a lot of people down in that area kind of know the area, but I had about 45,000 pounds of steel on my flatbed and started back to Kansas City. And when I left Springfield, in about as casual of a fashion as you and I are talking right now, I decided that today was a good day to die. I didn't think that I was going to be. I just didn't see the worth of me anymore, and I didn't want to put anybody else in my life through anything more than I already had. So I basically put my phone up on the dash. I put in about as much anti-Christ music, about as heavy as they come, on the radio. I thought about a bridge that's right past Clinton, and decided that I'm going to find that bridge, and I'm going to take that truck right over that bridge. And if the fall didn't get me, the drag to the bottom would, because I figured with the 45,000 pounds of steel on there, it should pretty much do the deed. And it was at the bottom of a hill, so I'd have plenty of momentum to get through any guardrails or anything else that would stop me. I had it all picked out. So I just started jamming out the music. I started heading that way. And the crazy thing was at those moments is that it wasn't even emotional, bro. It wasn't, I wasn't bawling. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't mad. I was literally as casual as you and I are talking right now. Just that it was just time. It was my time. And in my thought pattern had always been, I'd rather go out at my own hand than someone else's. So if this is the way it's going to happen, then this is the way it's going to happen. So we headed on down the road, and if the music wasn't heavy enough, I would literally skip past it. and skip past it and skip past it, and I just continue with the music. And right outside of Clinton, Missouri, a song came on my phone, and when the song came on, I knew it almost immediately. And when I tell you that I know for a fact 100% that I had deleted everything off my phone except every good thing, every good music, anything that had any positiveness in it, I had removed from my phone. And the song started, and I went and was like, oh no, this ain't happening. So I went to skip it, and it didn't skip. And then I hit skip again, and it didn't skip. And I hit skip again, and now I'm getting mad. So on the third time that I hit the skip, it actually, my phone was sitting up on the dash. And anybody that drives trucks, you'll know there's your air brakes up there, your red and yellow air brakes. Well, it was sitting up in between there. It falls off and falls to the floor. And so, and the song is still playing now, mind you. It wouldn't skip no matter what. I had not had a problem.
This was a good song, right?
It was a good song, and I'll tell you what the song is when I get done.
Okay.
But it continues to play, and when I tell you that I had not had a problem skipping songs the whole drive up there. And so I'm now getting mad, and I'm like, oh, I got you. So I'm trying to reach up and hit the power button or pull the cord because it's fallen down too far from where I can reach. And when I go to get up or reach for it, my seatbelt locks down. And I sit so far back and so low and so far back in my seat, now I can't reach the dash. So I can't reach the cord. I can't reach the stereo. I can't turn anything off. And now I'm getting irate and losing my mind. And the song continues to play. And I came in and hit a stoplight right there in the middle of Clinton, not Clinton, but Sedalia. And all of a sudden, I don't even know how to put it into words. Like all of a sudden, I get hit with this burst of I don't know what
Motion.
And yeah, emotion or whatever you want to say, but so the song was "Breaking the Chains" by Tasha Cobbs, and anybody that knows gospel knows that song. And when she hits the note of "There's a power in the name of Jesus" and talks about breaking the chains, it was if I gotten hit with a shotgun right in the chest, and I couldn't take it anymore. I literally had to pull over to the side of the road. I am now yelling at the top of my lungs at the roof of the truck and everywhere, screaming, "If you want it, you can have it." Because I don't want it anymore. I don't want to live this way anymore. I can't do this because even at that point, I knew it would be the end of me if I continued what I was doing and how I was living. So as that song continued to play, all of a sudden I get pulled over, my seatbelt undoes enough where I can move. And basically I sat there for probably 30 minutes on the side of the road, just bawling my eyes out because I couldn't even drive anymore. I mean, I was basically stuck there. And with that, I sat there and kept on asking him, "What do you want from me? What do you want from me? Why do you keep me around? Why do these things happen to me? And yet you continuously keep me here to suffer through them. I don't understand why I don't get it. And basically at that moment, this complete calmness, it was as Gary, when I tell you that it was as if somebody had reached out inside me and grabbed everything that I was, everything that I am out of me. I was like an empty shell at that point, and it was as if God at that point said, I need you to be an empty vessel in order that I can fulfill your destiny and what I have planned for you. And so it was at that moment that I reached out to my pastor. And the crazy thing was that my pastor is usually always, I hadn't spoken to that man in 5 years. And he's normally pretty busy guy. And I reached out to him and I just asked him, because it was on a Tuesday. So I asked him if Bible class was still on tomorrow night, and if he would be there, and then if we could talk. And he answered almost immediately. Normally it's like a full day before I hear from this man, but he answered almost immediately. And, you know, obviously gave me the yeses to all 3 questions. So once I was able to compose myself, I was able to drive the truck back to the shop, and I went to church the next day. And again, I hadn't spoken to any of these people, had not gone to church, showed my face in at least 5 years. And when I got in there, I was kind of welcomed as if I had never left. And so I asked Pastor at that time if we'd still be able to talk. He says, yeah, we'll talk today. So as I was sitting there, he was up there for about 30 minutes doing his classwork. And when he came to sat down, I thought that him and I would go talk, but instead he had a up and coming pastor come up there, and part of his transition into the pastoral position is that he has to give a sermon. So I didn't know this guy from Adam, had never met him, didn't know anything about him. And he got up there and proceeds to answer all my questions. He proceeded to tell me, it's almost as if he was talking to me, exactly what was in store for me. And the craziest part about that whole situation was that I had met him the next day, and when I had talked to him, he told me that he was supposed to actually preach on something else, but almost 15 minutes before he went into the study, he had something come across his heart and changed his whole sermon. And then, so after that, Pastor and I got to talk, and from there, bro, putting God first and working on the foundation of who I needed to be, or who he wanted me to be, became my priority. Because I didn't want to do anything else. I wanted to truly this time be the man that he needed me to be. Because I mean, otherwise, why would he pick me? Why would he save me that day? Why would he put that much effort into stopping me from running off that bridge? And of course, it'll always be a question as to why and what's going on. But you know, that was the biggest thing. Like when we talk about when Ryan and I met, you know, I had told her that I can't be good to you because I don't feel that I can be good to anybody until I fix myself. And in order to fix myself, I had to fix my relationship with God. And that was the building of our foundation of our relationship, because as she said that she would wait for me to finish building this relationship with God, she expressed her desire to build that relationship as well. So we were able to actually come together and build the foundation of a relationship and build that relationship with God, putting him first and above all anything else. And that's why a lot of times, we talk and it's like, I couldn't see myself with anybody else right now. I couldn't. I have never been so in love with somebody, and I completely blame that on our relationship with God and what he fills us with.
So go ahead.
No, go ahead, man.
So to back up a little bit, you said you were raised by a good family, but had you had a lot of exposure to church, or
Yeah,
about being a Christian, or
my parents are Methodists and made me go to church every Sunday. Had what is it? Sunday school with there, but I mean I never felt I never felt welcomed in there. And of course it might have had a lot to do with me and my that's about as perfect as the demons that were crawling around inside that were just waiting to get out. But the people that were there, the people in the Sunday school, I never connected with. They were a different breed of people. I just never found comfort there. I always felt out of place.
So what you experienced today in that truck was something you'd never experienced.
No, I had tried to all I can say is I was a poser for a minute. It was one of those, like, you want to be good, you want to put on this front, and you think that if you do it long enough, you can convince yourself that you're a good person. And that's kind of what happens, is that you start to it's a lie. I mean, you start living this lie, and the lie just grows bigger, and then you're convinced yourself of this lie of who you are, when the reality is who you really are. But you try to mask that. You try to put a blanket over that, thinking, oh well, if I do this, it'll make me a good person. If I do this, it'll make me a good person, when it just never works out, man.
So you were starting to talk about Ryan a while ago. Was it soon after?
About 6 months.
6 months. You didn't know her prior, right?
Oh no. We were
it wasn't only with me, it was your relationship with
and that was the craziest
your
part.
Relationship with your parents.
When all this took place.
Ryan could come sit beside you if she wants to.
Oh, she's no.
I'm already a blubbery mess. I don't need that there.
The story always gets her. She's probably heard it 300 times. But I actually, the crazy part, I never really talked to people about things and stuff that I did. And the crazy part is now, I mean, I told my parents. And that wasn't, and honestly, that wasn't my first suicide attempt. That's actually my third official suicide attempt. And that was the other thing, is why do I keep getting stopped? Because I had one where I had swallowed a bunch of pills, and laid down in my bedroom, ready just to call it quits. And a friend of mine who I hadn't spoken to in months was driving by my house, and he said, I don't know what it was, for some reason. He said, I was driving by to go up to McDonald's, and something told me to stop and see what's up with you. And he ended up hanging around, and I told him what I had done. So we proceeded with what we needed to for me to throw up everything. But the time after that, I actually had a standoff with the police, and I was going to shoot myself. And in the fit of arguing and screaming back and forth, and in a fit of rage, I put the gun to my head, pulled the trigger, and it just clicked. And after all that was said and done, we found out that, I was so emotional that day that I never chambered around. So it's crazy to think that, even between the incidences that I think that I should have been killed, and then the times that I have tried to take my own life, I don't know. I don't know. I can't answer what God's got in store for me. I really don't, except the fact that to be able to share my story with people and express the power that God has, and the way that it can change a person from any walk of life.
Well, I've told you, I feel like God has you here because you can reach people that other people feel are unreached.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree with Ryan.
Yeah, I don't really have I really don't have anything that stops me. I mean, I'll talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And the crazy part was that when all of this was taking place, and I was trying to figure out what my path is going to be, and of course, anybody that knows me, I'm a good go big or go home type of guy. I didn't feel that I was doing enough. Like God took that moment to save me, then I should be doing something epic for him. You know what I'm saying? And I was always struggling. So I was always struggling with what to do and why, or how I don't feel like I'm doing enough for God. And the crazy part was that the day that I was talking to Ryan about this, my best friend called me, and he asked me what it takes to become ordained. And I was like, oh, heck, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's some classes online or something, or how, I don't know how you do all that stuff. And I was like, why do you ask? And he's like, dude, he's like, my wife or my girlfriend and I are getting married, and we would love it if you married us.
But tell them why.
And it basically is because of my story and what I went through, and the fact of where I was now walking with God. And he wanted me to marry them. So that was the beginning of that. So I went and got ordained. Probably no one knows that, but I am ordained. And I performed their wedding for them. I've shared my testimony with multiple people who have since returned to church and changed their lives. And
some that haven't.
I mean, and there's it's just like Ryan had told me, it was planting the seed, and that's what she believes that God has kept me here for.
Do you notice now? Do you see those signs in people? Where before you only seen yourself and all the bad. Now do you, since you've went from sort of the dark side of your life over to a brighter side, now do you look at people and see the same signs of the things that you were going through? Does the Lord show you that in people?
So sometimes I can pick up on things. as far as, because it's almost as if you're like, dude, I've been there. And a good friend of mine, he was struggling with his wife and his relationship with his wife, and we sat and talked about it, and the crazy thing was I kept on watching them, and I was like, bro, like, what's going on, man? I'm picking up a vibe that you got something ain't right. And he ended up talking about how his wife and him have been struggling, and he hasn't been able to talk to anybody. And we sat there, this was at the shop, we sat there by our trucks and talked about that. We prayed, we fellowshipped, and he called me the next day and told me how much his relationship with his wife had changed, and they had started to go back to counseling and working out things, and just trying to make things better. And I'm not saying that I have this like sixth sense for stuff anymore, but yeah, to be able to see in people a struggle that you've been there, is that I've done. I've been in, like Ryan said, the fact that I don't have a fear in talking to people about anything. And I think that's been the biggest change in me, is like the non-fear of sharing this story anymore, because that's the biggest part of the testimonial part of my life.
Do you find now that where before you used to highlight all the bad, now you highlight all the good?
Yeah, I don't.
Do you see the change, though?
Yeah, there's times when Ryan and I like, she picks up on days that I'm struggling, and I'm harder on myself, or I'm kind of picking on myself, or putting myself down for things, and she picks up on stuff pretty quickly with me, as far as when almost like I'm starting to slide, if that makes sense. So
When you're no longer yoked.
When I'm no longer yoked, I mean, that's,
she reined you back in.
Yeah, she has a way. She
oh
says,
yeah, I know. I've seen it in action.
Not all the times involve a pink fly swatter, man.
All right, so I sort of cut you off earlier. So we're 6 months later, and you meet this good-looking broad, and you think she's a hot chick, and you want to land her as a wife. Let's go back to that point.
How it went.
Well, that's what's crazy, bro. That's not even at all how it went.
It really isn't.
I
Fought it.
I fought it for a long time, man. I did not want or did not feel that I was in a position and I was ready, and I didn't until
you could be loved.
Until God would put it in my heart, or I really didn't think that anybody could love me. I mean, I just, you get in that frame of mind where it's like you're just going to be alone, man. No one's going to want someone as broken as you are. You know what I'm saying? And she oh great. Did you see Felix's comment? Sorry, I don't mean to stop, but you're getting scolded, Gary.
Felix never holds back.
No, she don't, man.
That's what keeps the show balanced.
Oh yeah, well, it all depends, man. It depends on the subject. Now, if you talk about the Brotherhood of the Hats, there's no balance there. And he just came in. That's funny. His way just showed up. Oh man, but yeah, there was even a point where I had told her that I think we should take a break. I didn't think that this was right for me. And the funny part was the friend of mine that asked me to marry them, I was in his I was in his garage, and I remember this like it was yesterday, but I was in his garage, and I told him, I said, you know what? I think I'm letting her go. And he looked right at me, and he said, he's like, what the F is wrong with you? And it was almost at that moment, like I broke again. And in a tearful response, I looked at him, was like, bro, I don't know. I don't know. And he said, that's the old Kyle talking. And we're not going to have that, you know. And he gave me this whole spiel, and I think I called her a couple of hours later.
Said, can we have dinner?
Asked her if she wanted to have dinner.
And then he's like, can I just go home with you?
And then, yeah, just basically asked her if I could just go home with her. And here we are, almost 5 years later.
Oh,
and I've never
man.
looked, we've just never looked back. And
I just want to say that when I knew you guys a little bit from YouTube, but when me and Tammy met you guys, we would have thought that y'all had been together for years. Like, y'all just gelled. The chemistry was there, and it was just amazing. And for you to say that y'all had not been together that long, it just blew our mind. And that to me is a God thing,
Yeah, that's what.
And I think it's because we never had that puppy love.
We
never.
Yeah, we never went through that.
Kyle being scared and running for the hills because Ryan was very calm and there was no drama, and it was just good to, okay, we're doing this thing.
Yeah.
All feet in.
Yeah, going from a lifetime of drama, and if I didn't have drama in my life, I created it. That was my life. So that night in his garage was probably my last attempt at causing drama, and it's never happened since, man. I look back on it, and I've prayed on it, and I've asked about it, and I think in the big scheme of things, God knew that he had to find that one person
that is as stubborn as you are.
Oh, man. And there she was, man. It just, we feed off each other. We like it, man, I can't even.
So I've got a question I've been wanting to ask. I really didn't know how to ask it.
I told you there's no holds barred, man.
Prior to your experience on the bridge, your marriage is prior to that. That's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Was like you and Ryan, y'all had a spiritual connection.
Yes, sir.
I mean, because even you say, you probably wouldn't have met under different circumstances. Was the marriages before, did they have any spiritual basis to them? Any connection or anything prior to that? I mean, me
and Cindy, which was my first wife, my kids' mom, we actually had a really good relationship. The problem is I became very, very self-centered and found that cheating was easy. I found manipulating situations were easy, and I started traveling quite a bit. So basically our relationship fell apart a lot because of who I was. And the problem was that
she became shut off.
Yeah, I mean, when she found out that I was cheating as much as I was, she pretty much shut down. And then, our relationship just kind of diminished. That's and we have, and actually what's crazy is that she and I have talked, and I have expressed everything that I could to her, and she has forgiven me.
And me and her are friends.
And oh god, yeah. And now her and Ryan are like really good friends, and it's
Oh, wow.
really it's really quite terrifying at times.
Yeah.
But as far as, you know, wife number 2, you know, we tried to do the church thing thinking that it would be a good thing, and
That was puppy love.
that was a lot of puppy love. You know, you come out of a relationship where that love didn't even exist, and you get that attention, and you think it's all great and dandy, so you got that puppy love, and then it just crashed and burned about as quickly as it started. And so you fall back on, you know, the one that tells you, I'm going to fix you and make you better. And the reality is that you're still so broken and so screwed up that it's never going to be better.
Yeah.
And you just kind of exist to exist, really.
So by marriage 3, I mean, you were a mess. I mean,
Oh yeah. I was
and going through those 3 marriages didn't help.
no, it was a disaster from the get-go, man.
I'm trying to build brownie points here, and you need to help me here because Felix is about to murder me, and I've called Ryan abroad. So what I'm trying to say here is Ryan was sort of, I mean, I've said it already, you know, y'all were connected, but so Ryan, I guess, was really an angel. And she came and sort of like an angel. Anyway, she came to you and sort of said, "Here, let's do this together."
Yeah, because I tell you, I was dating a little bit before we met, and it was really hard because you never realize how hard the dating game is when you put on your ad for the dating thing that, you know, God is first in my life, so this is what's important to me. And it kind of divides out the people that contact you. And like I said, I mean, I had dated a little bit, but nothing really panned out because my path I felt was different. And the great part about it was that I didn't feel the need to have to, well, my emotional need was being fed by something different, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
It was a big difference. What I'm guessing, you went from somebody that said they were going to fix you to somebody that said, "Hey, let's walk through this together."
Right. And
that's a big difference.
Oh yeah. And that's pretty much what did it, because at the time I was going through I was going through this Bible study. The pastor had given me, it's like, all right, this is what you need to do. So I had the booklets and the scriptures, and we need to get you down this path. And I wish I could remember the actual term that he used for these lessons. And so I became enthralled in these lessons and learning all that I can. And I showed Ryan one day, I was like, this is what I'm going through. And she goes, I want to do that. I want my relationship with God to be as passionate and as strong as yours. And what can I do to do that? So we started doing our studies together and going to church together. And I had never really taken anybody to my church. I kind of kept that. That was kind of like my sanctuary, you know, that was all me.
You were very selfish with it.
I am. I was very selfish with my pastor and my church, and I don't like sharing that. And
tell them what they said the first time you brought
when we showed up, the first day I brought her, I introduced her to pastor and the first lady, and we were sitting there, and the pastor made it a point to call out to Ryan and thanking her for bringing his son home.
A ball for 20 minutes.
And that's
still crying.
Right. And that's, I mean, when you say that it was an angel that was brought to me, for me, that's probably the most accurate description you could ever. It was almost as if, Gary, when I tell you, it was almost as if God reached into my rib, took one of my ribs and created Ryan for me, and knew that at some point at the right time, and he had to wait for the moment that I would appreciate the gift. Because if you are given a gift by God at the wrong moment, you don't have the appreciation for it, and you don't see the value in that as much as when you hit that like where I was, and he saw that was the moment that I needed, and he had me answer that ad from her, and the rest is history, man.
I've had some people send me some questions here, and one of them will be, so growing up, this question is, so it goes back a little bit to what we talked about earlier. What do you think they ask here? Was you more rebelling against maybe going into church or having to go to church and stuff? You think you were rebelling, or did you just wind up down a dark path? And
I think
you were rebelling yourself.
Well, I rebelling. I don't know so much rebelling, but I think that some demons had crawled into me, and I found pleasure in what they had to offer, and the dark path seemed to be the route that I wanted to go, and that's the scary part about it, Gary, is that I enjoyed it, man. I didn't, people. There was one time when I've seen multiple psychiatrists throughout my psychiatrists throughout my years, and one doctor asked me the reasoning behind the things that I've done, and my honest opinion was that I like doing it. I love doing it. I wasn't doing it to get back at anybody or haha, I'll show you. It was literally, man, I really enjoy doing this.
that just, and I know y'all find that hard to believe. I'm hardly ever speechless. But when you said that earlier, what do you say to somebody that had no feeling about doing what you were doing, or the thought in your mind was not
there was no guilt behind it at all.
No guilt, right? No, I feel guilty doing this. I mean, like eating too much and gaining 5 pounds. I have guilt about that. And you were doing things that were up here level, and you didn't even think twice about it. And that, to me, I know we have people like that in this world, and a lot of them are in prison. But when I see you like I know you now, I know that that's a God transformation, because I know the person I know now would have been so emotionally distraught that he could not have done anything, because the love he had for his friend and the love he had for a human being. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And for you to make that transformation, and when you said that a while ago, I'm just like, it's just,
it's hard to wrap your head around, and
it's hard to wrap your head around. It's hard to even do this interview, because the things that you went through, I don't have a question. I mean, I don't have a question for it. I don't have a storyline to tell. The storyline that you've lived is not something that you see every day in person. And in sad reality, it happens a million times a day in different people's lives around the world.
Right.
And I was sharing this with some friends today, that on my mother's side and my daddy's side both, we have suicide. We've had at least one suicide on both sides. And we were talking today about how I've started studying that a lot and researching it over the years. And now I'm a people watcher. I'm obsessed with watching, and I'm obsessed with watching my friends, making sure I don't miss something. and then it hadn't been that long ago, I lost a friend to suicide, and so when you told me your story, it sort of hit home a little bit more, and I'm thinking about how God brought you out, and I'm thinking, about all my friends and family that's done this, and I'm thinking, did they just, what happened there, and to hear what you said, the life you lived leading up to that, and your multiple times of doing it, it just blows my mind. I'm just like, can somebody not reach you and help bring you out of that? And it just solidifies what I guess been taught and preached, and there's just some things that only God can do.
Yeah.
As much as we love somebody and want to help them, there's just some things that only God can do.
That's what I've told people. And some people are going through things, and they're asking, what help, what they can do, and after sharing stories and talking to them, I mean, all I could tell them is like, you are 100% correct, man. There's some things that only God can do. And there's been times when I've told people, I said, look, here's what I need you to do. And I'll sit here with you if you need me to, man. We will sit here. We will pray. We will ask God to come into our hearts and help in any fashion that we can. But the biggest thing is that you have to open your heart to him. You have to open your soul to him, and you have to be able to allow him to come in and work his magic, man. Because if you continue to keep that wall up and blocking what he has to offer, then in the big scheme of things, he is not ever going to be able to do what he needs to do. And that's where people get lost, and we end up losing them, because the unfortunate truth is that, and it's hard for people to wrap their heads around, because even people that have great lives and come from great parents can be so depressed and be bipolar, to where one minute you and I could be talking and everything's fine and dandy, and the next minute I want to go in and open my arms in the freaking bathtubs. A lot of people can't wrap their hands around that that's a true thing, and that's a frightening, one of the most frightening, what's the word I'm looking for? Conditions that people have, man. And those are the ones that medicate. And that's the other thing, is that I didn't want to be medicated, dude. I don't like medication. I don't like to be subdued from who I really am. And that was probably another big reason why, I struggled like I did, because I basically took the reins of what was going through me and just rode that bull like I ever could. I didn't want to stop it. I didn't want to friggin' mute this. I wanted to experience all of it, whatever it had to offer, and whatever the outcome might be. That's what I wanted.
So, Rayleigh, Blaine wanted to know if you've ever felt the calling to do ministry of any type. I know you got ordained to do the wedding, but is God dealing with you in different ways now?
There's been some times when I wondered if that was a path that I should try to follow down, or something to look into. But honestly, as much as I've prayed on it, I've never been drawn to continue that path. It's almost as if, like, right now, God's saying, you know what? I got you where I need you to be right now.
And be a messenger.
Yeah, he'd rather me be a messenger with what abilities I have and where I am and the people that I deal with.
So do you find it so amazing that the timing, I talk about the Lord shut the world down to open up doors for me and Tammy. A lot of people would see that different, because we sold our home and all this. Do you find it amazing that within about a couple of years, the Lord shut the world down, opened up YouTube, and here you are telling your story that could quite possibly over the years go out to thousands of people as it's played over and over and over for years and years down the road.
You know, it's crazy you say that, because that's almost how I felt when I released I actually have got this whole testimony on YouTube. Not the whole thing. You've actually heard a lot more, but I do have a testimony that I had released earlier in our videos. It was early on before we really got popular with, and
Back
it was
before
crazy.
you met me is what you're saying.
Yeah. It's exactly what I was saying, man. I mean, they were like, no, we're going to do this before you reach rock star, man. You got to, but yeah, if you go back on our channel, kind of back in the beginning, I did a testimony. It was crazy because I was actually on my drive to work, and something told me to kind of, talk about it, just put it out there. And so I just set the phone up and just talked about it. It wasn't anything extravagant. Obviously it wasn't, I really just, I don't think it was even edited. I think I just recorded it and then just uploaded it. I didn't think much to it. But honestly, like, the pastors told me and Ryan's told me, if you can plant the seed in one person, that's what you've accomplished something.
Yeah, keep planting the seed.
You just keep planting the seeds. And I've had to swallow a lot of that go big, go home with me, and be okay with just the simplicity of just the seed planting. If that's what God wants me to do, then that's what, I'm not gonna go against what God wants me to do. Heck no, man. I'm going to do, if he wants me to just continue to spread the message and spread the word of what he's done for me. I'm not trying to, force God or religion or anything on anybody. But all I want you to do is listen for a moment and let me tell you what God did for me. Let me tell you where I was and where I am now. Let me tell you about the relationship, not only with my parents, but with my kids. My relationship with my oldest son, I didn't speak to him for 2 years. And I hadn't spoken to him in 2 years. And now I go see him like every 2 or 3 months. We go up north and see him. We chat every day. We send, messages back and forth. I mean, when I tell you that not only is it night and day for my life, but night and day for my relationships, that was the biggest thing for me, is the fact that my relationship with everybody around me has 10, 20, 100-fold, dude. 100-fold.
So I think that you're on the big stage, and I want to tell you why. Me and you talked about this. And for those who don't know, me and Kyle and Ryan talks every day, on average 3 or 4 times a week, at least 3 or 4 days a week, 100 times in each day. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so we do text each other quite a bit. But I talked to Ryan a lot about the message and about how many millions of people that message could reach. So I think you are already big time. For one, you've had your video on your own channel, which is 600 or 700 subscribers, 800 subscribers. I don't know how many you got now, but a lot. And you've been on several other channels. You've been on this channel. And so if you think about it, if God asked you to get up on stage in front of 1,000 people and tell your message, you consider that big.
Well, first I would dookie myself. I'm just throwing it out there.
Right. But let me just say that I will say probably by this time next year, your message between your channel and all the channels that you've told your story on will have reached more than 1,000 people.
I would hope so.
Right. And then the next year, it's going to reach that many more and that many more because, even at 1%, it's going to grow and grow and grow and grow. And then you're going to tell more people. So more outlets and more outlets. And one of these days, you're going to have been on a stage time you count everybody, and it's going to be thousands of people. Brother, you've done hit it big. Your story has done a big deal. The day that you left that truck alive was a big deal.
I agree.
And I cried when I told Ryan this the last time. Or Kyle this the last time. That I was so glad he walked out of that truck. Because if for no other reason.
Bro, come on.
If for no other reason, I gained not one but 2 family members out of it. Great ones.
I'm glad my glasses are tinted.
And I gained a buddy that I think Jury said it earlier in the chat, that knows when you're having a bad day without having to be told.
Ryan and I, one of the sayings that Ryan and I have is always and forever. And it's something that's always stuck with us. And when I tell you that the friendship that we've built with you guys is always and forever, yeah. I don't care what time it is. I don't care. And I told you, bro, if I need to jump in this truck and be in Alabama within the next 4 hours, I will too,
Well, you're going to impact so many more people. And the impact that you've had and these guys in the chat's had on mine and Tammy's life has been amazing. But I can't imagine our life without Kyle and Ryan. I mean, I can't imagine my life without Troubadour or Felix or His Way Homestead or Blaine or Danny or any of these guys out here in the chat and ladies. It would just be like, I don't know what it'd be like. But for that, and I know you're going to impact the world in so many different ways with your story. It has. I can see the chat went crazy tonight. But I think your story is going to save so many lives. And you may never know it till you get to heaven. But it's going to save so many lives and win so many people that you're just not going to be able to comprehend it. The Lord may wait to tell you about it when you get to heaven, because that's the only way you'll be able to comprehend it.
I just hope in the long run that he that I do him right, in the big scheme of things. I don't want to disappoint him. I want him to know how much I appreciated him taking his time out of that day and choosing me. I don't want to disappoint him, man. I couldn't imagine disappointing him. Because anybody that will put that much effort into saving a wretch like me.
There you go, preach it.
I mean, anybody that put that much effort into saving somebody that doesn't feel that they are worth saving, all the praise, all the love, everything that you could ever imagine given to him, because I couldn't. I mean, dude, when I tell you that 30 more minutes, I'd be in the bottom of that river. 30 more minutes. I got stopped at the light 30 minutes from where I was going to be. Stupid song that I know for a fact I had deleted off my phone. When I tell you that I know for a fact that I deleted that song off my phone, where it came from, I don't know. But the fact that I wasn't allowed to stop it, and that I was, basically told that I needed to accept him that day. I needed to open myself to that day. Otherwise, the chains were just going to get heavier and heavier and drag me down to the bottom of that river. That's all that was going to do.
Wow. I warned all y'all that it was at least a one tissue box story, and I've been talking about this for 2 or 3 days, and
Oh,
I
just that.
I done as much show prep. I mean, I went all out today with show prep. Kyle knows. I sent him all the show prep.
Man, I tell you what, Rayleigh's on it tonight, man. Did you see what he just wrote?
Yeah, I agree with that, Blaine.
Need to hear that.
I agree with that, Blaine. Let me put this up here. I forget that I can do that. Yeah, if there's anybody here that needs to talk too, you can message either me or Kyle or anybody, Blaine, or you private message. You don't want nobody knowing, or whatever you need to do. You know who in here you can talk to, me included, and Kyle included, and Ryan and Kruger Duo, anybody.
You know that his Way's dad was taken to the hospital, so we need to be praying for him.
Wow, we will be. He is sick. We've been praying for him for several days now. But brother, I'm just still speechless, but I know the Lord's got a big work in you. I know He's done amazing things, and you and Ryan, my Lord. I mean, that right there, God paired y'all up. I mean, that's just right there. She's just mean enough to keep you straight.
I think
I'm afraid of her.
Was it Rayleigh that said it earlier? It said Ryan is the Kyle Whisperer.
Yeah. Oh man. And guys, they are the same in person. This ain't a YouTube TV channel where they play something else. They're the same in person. I thought we was gonna get thrown out of the campground because it started raining and we all had to get in the toy hauler part of our camper. And I laughed. I was about to puke. And then I cried. Me and Tammy both was crying when Kyle started telling the story, and it was just amazing. It was an amazing night and day we got to spend together, and tonight's been amazing. I believe that this will be watched more than it is tonight, and you guys can share it. Y'all guys can go to Kyle and Ryan's K&R Destination. They have a video about it. Share both of them, and not just for the channels, but for the benefit of the message. That's what we want to get out. It ain't Daydream, and it ain't K&R Destination. It is all about the message, and y'all share that out. And as far as that goes, if we need to, we can delete it off not delete it. We can download it all if we need to, and do it in a different format or something. But anyway, my man, we got a show coming up behind us with Johnny's Journey. So I don't know how to thank you. That was awesome. I mean, the courage you had to get on here and tell the story.
Yeah, like I said, it was one of those situations where it's Danny's got jokes. Oh, yeah.
Danny's mouthing about your NFL team.
Yeah. I can't even be mad at him. But yeah, it was it was a pleasure, man. I appreciate it. And the fact that you let me ramble on about everything, why we are where we are and how Ryan and I became who we are. It takes a pretty crazy special woman to whisper, as he said. What did Griswold said, the Kyle whisperer. But like I said, I want to do them right, man. I don't want God to ever be disappointed in me. I couldn't handle that. I used to not care, but you know, it's one of those things, man. I don't want to disappoint him, brother. I don't. And honestly, in the big scheme of things, man, I can't thank everybody enough in this community that we've come to know, man. I feel like all of you are friends and family, and we can't wait to meet up with all of you at some point.
Mayberry.
Mayberry will be there at Mayberry, but man, I love all you guys. We love all you guys and appreciate all the support and everything that you guys have ever done for us. I appreciate Miss Tammy's apple crisp.
She
But
bribed a couple of channels to be our friend through Apple Crisp, I will say. By the way, Johnny's Journey's not going over, so if we run over, we're not going over on Johnny. So they're getting ready for courtside. So, but that is cool, and yeah, Tammy's won over a few with her Apple Crisp. I don't know how I won anybody over, but we're here.
I tell you what, man, you guys have been a huge blessing for us, man. I was about as emotional as they come when we finally met you guys, man. I knew that that's the way it was going to be when we met you, and that's just how close that we knew that we had kind of connected with you guys, and you and I talked. I mean, while we were out there, and different stories and different paths, and where we were and what we are now, and God works with each of us in different ways, and I can't wait to continue this journey with you guys when we go over to Uganda, and just all of that, man. I just can't wait to share the rest of our lives with all you guys. I think it's going to be awesome, man.
So Doreen brought up a good point. If anybody's watching the replay, you can Rayleigh Creative Travel. If you need somebody to talk to, Rayleigh put the post in there. So I thought Rayleigh would be a good contact if you need to talk to. Kyle, K&R Destinations. We'll get one of the moderators to throw their channel name. I don't know if they can do the links. I think they can.
I think they could do the links again. I think I heard Felix talking that they're allowing to do the links again. So
we will link. If somebody wants to talk directly to Kyle, which I'm sure if somebody's going through this, they will want to, you can go and we will link K&R Destinations in the chat. Yeah, they can reach out. They can reach out the Instagram, the Facebook,
Email.
I'm sure I'm friends with most everybody in here on Facebook. You can message me. We can somehow get in contact with us, and me or Ryan, and yeah, you guys are K&R Destinations link. So yeah, Felix is on it. Felix is on it. Yep. So if you want to talk about what Kyle's been through, I'm sure he'd be glad to talk to you about it. If you're going through the same situation, Kyle will talk to you. I'd be glad to talk to anybody about it. Rayleigh, Blaine Rayleigh, Danny Griswold, Truby Duo, any of these channels. All you gotta do is hunt the channel down and direct message them, and you'll be good. You can put Ryan's email up. Yep, Ryan just dropped their email, so you can email them. We got a lot of outlets, so anytime anybody has any issues, man, do not ever be afraid. I don't care what time it is. I know we got Eastern, Western times and whatnot, but please, if anybody's struggling with anything, please don't ever feel you don't have an outlet or somebody to reach out to, because honestly, in the big scheme of things, this is probably one of the strongest communities I've ever come across. Ever. And I can almost promise you that there is not a person in this community that will not pick up the phone. That's right. And you can talk to and share. And if you want to keep it quiet, then keep it quiet. And you want to, whatever the case may be. But please don't ever be afraid that you can't talk to somebody. Ever. Yeah, just like Bill and Natasha said, just reach out to somebody. Right. Don't get to the point Kyle was and try
ending it 3 times. Don't never get to that point. It just it's not worth it, guys. It's just God put you here for a reason. Hang around and see what it's all about, and
Yes, sir.
quit looking at all the bad. Start looking at all the good.
I know that's tough sometimes because I mean the condition's real, and there's a chemical imbalance, and it stops you from seeing that good side. It literally puts up a wall against it, and you think that the bad side is the only thing that exists in your life. But I promise you, I can promise you and promise you that there's a better outlet, man. There's a better side, and we just need to get past that wall that's stopping you from seeing that.
Well, what an amazing testimony you got, brother. Next time you're in Alabama, I may have to get you up at church and tell it.
Done.
According to Ryan, we're going to have to make that happen.
Yeah, we may have to make that happen here at RCC. Hopefully, maybe we'll be at a bigger volume of people. And your story, not everybody has the same story. You got a great story. Everybody's got a great story, and it's for somebody. Just remember that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to stick a gun to your head 3 times or whatever to have a good story.
Right.
Everybody's got a good story. Your story is your story. You know,
Absolutely.
God gave you your individual story. So, but anyway, we're not going to keep everybody up. It's 10 o'clock Central. It's 11 o'clock Eastern time.
Oof.
And some people have to work tomorrow. I don't.
You can't even call me part-time no more, friggin' Gary.
I haven't
on vacation from school.
driving a bus, and that's just a part-time job. Man, it's gonna be sad. I have to go back to driving the bus Monday. And
Well,
so I get the rest
appreciate
of it. Do what?
I appreciate it, man. I love you guys. Tell Tammy. I was hoping to see her a minute ago. I was hoping she'd come in and
Thomas
Love her.
Thomas has been off today. It's his first off day in forever in 10 years. He's working all these days. They get paid big bucks on call in. So he's been going call in, putting that money in the bank, living at home, no bills, you know, all that good stuff. So him and Tammy's in there watching a movie. They don't get to do that much.
I ain't mad
Mama's
at her.
little boy.
I ain't mad at her. Mom and son time. You can't beat that, man.
Yeah. So we'll let you go, Kyle. You know I love you, brother. You got my
Love you
number.
guys.
And take care of Ryan. And if you behave, she won't hit you as often.
I know, right? She's actually left that swatter over there this evening. It's been kind of amazing. First time
I
I've
kept
seen her.
thinking that blind behind you was a garage roll-up door. It just now dawned on me that was a blind.
She put me out in the garage.
Yeah. All right, guys. I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you go, Kyle, and I'll tell everybody bye, and we'll get out of here.
All right, love you guys.
See y'all
Later.
All right, guys. I didn't lie to you. I told you it was a tissue box show, and I think it lived up to its name. And so I appreciate everybody coming. Y'all are welcome to share this out. Don't do it for Daydream. Do it for the benefit of the gospel, and maybe to help somebody. I'm being real, and I know I'll catch some flack from some Christians, but even if we save somebody's life, whether they become a Christian or not, it's worth it. I want them to become Christians. That's what I want. But let's save their life, or let the Lord deal with them, or work with them somehow. But keep them from doing that. I told y'all before, I've lost family and friends to people trying to end it and get out of the depression on their own. And that's not good. That's not good for either them or the people they leave behind. As a family, we deal with that every year. remembering it. And as friends, we hate to lose our friends. So, um, let's live our life with no regrets. And let's, somebody shared it on Facebook the other day. Let's leave everybody with the greetings that if something happened to them and we never see them again, we're happy with the last thing we said to them or thought about them. So let's love everybody right up until the last second, because it may be the last second we see them. So I love you guys. Thank you guys for coming. I'll see you guys in the morning with the morning crew. Love you guys. See ya.